Nigerians lament fuel scarcity, transport fares hike amid economic hardship. Bandits kill driver, abduct 2 on Abuja-Kaduna highway. Court fixes May 16th to rule on means of service for Ganduje, others in alleged corruption trial. And on the foreign scene, Hamas gets 40-day ceasefire offer amid airstrikes on Rafah by Israel. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour tonight. I am Eugenia Abu. The present scarcity and subsequent increase in the price of petrol has tripled transportation fares in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The situation has been worsened by black marketers who are experiencing high patronage from motorists and tricycle riders who have no choice but to rely on them for continuous operations. Trust TV's Beatrice Kuruti now reports.
The scarcity of fuel is spreading like wildfire within the Maiduguri metropolis, with motorists and tricycles spending hours at the fuel stations that have the product. Despite the unavailability of the product to motorists and other operators, black marketers who always have the product are taking advantage of the scarcity to sell a litre, which is usually a little over 600 naira at 1,200 naira, while a gallon now goes for as much as 5,000 naira. A litre of fuel cost 1,100 naira, but yesterday we sold it at 1,200 naira, and people still patronize us. As for a gallon, we sell it at 5,000 naira. Before now, we sold a litre at 750 naira, but we don't know why the price shot up.
Recording in progress.
As at now, we buy at the rate of 950 naira in some filling stations. Although customers are complaining of the price increase, we are still being patronized because the filling stations don't have fuel.
Fasinja da kake ga da roƙon Allah da komai suke fita unguwa 150 ma ba sa iya biya. Yan acaban ma rabi da kwata sun faka mashinan su. Dole a dinga shan wahalan mashin.
Passengers are not agreeing to pay the 200 naira we charge, so more than half of the riders have parked their tricycles because of the hike in the price of fuel. Government should do something about it.
Yeah, most of the filling stations in this town doesn't have fuel. Some have, but do sell it at a high rate. Most especially, they do sell it for us at 1,000 naira per litre. And it is in this critical condition of the situation of the country, it is very hard for us to increase the price of our transportation.
The situation has affected intra-city shuttles as transportation fares have accordingly been jacked up. Some residents who said a drop now cost 200 naira are calling on the government to take immediate action to address the situation.
Honestly speaking, I paid 250 naira from 1,000 to post office. I have to bargain. You know how the country is. At least they should subsidize. At least there should be a subsidy in that petrol aspect that they removed, and that is affecting the masses. At least the masses can benefit directly from it, especially when it comes to transport. And that is it. Or maybe bring another alternative way of transport, just the way the state government have did. So the federal government can also play their part by providing mass transit for masses.
There are unverified reports that the fuel scarcity may last for 2 weeks, leaving many residents praying that the shortage be addressed soon so they won't be exposed to further sufferings. Beatrice Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
In a related development, the National Association of Nigerian Students has threatened to embark on mass action if the federal government fails to take immediate steps to address the current fuel scarcity in the country. The students' body also asked the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, to resign if he cannot take decisive actions to resolve the fuel crisis. The association Senate President Babatunde Akintaye, in a statement on Monday, lamented that the fuel scarcity has left many citizens, including students, frustrated and helpless. The NAN's Senate President lamented that students are now facing unprecedented challenges as a result of the increase in pump prices and the scarcity of the product. While demanding immediate action from the NNPCL to resolve the fuel crisis and restore stability, Babatunde said the students would hit the streets in protest if the situation persisted. The NAN's leader stated that the NNPCL must improve infrastructure and logistics to ensure the efficient distribution of fuel across the country, saying bottlenecks and inefficiencies in the supply chain must be addressed promptly. We now have joining us on NewsHour, Sidiko Olayinka, policy expert and public affairs analyst, to share his thoughts with us on the lingering fuel scarcity. We thank you for joining us, Mr. Olayinka.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Good evening. So talk to us about what you think is the root cause of the re-emergence of long queues in fuel stations, and what is the lasting solution to this problem?
Thank you very much again for having me. I will tell you tonight for free that the hardship that is currently being seen surrounding or bordering on the issue of supply of fuel or petroleum, as we call it in the local parlance, to the domestic marketers, is the root cause of the scarcity that we have right now. Also, that is not the only issue. You know, the inadequate refinery capacity of our refineries that are already moribund is another issue to talk about. Corruption, maladministration, high-handedness, and mismanagement is another issue that has accumulated into the hardship that Nigerians are already facing right now in terms of shortage in the supply of fuel. Also, insufficient infrastructural capacity is another issue that we should also talk about. Vandalization of pipelines and other supply chain of petrol and valuation of petroleum is another issue to also look into. But this evening, I will be looking at two things: the issue of supply to independent marketers that are also responsible in distributing these petroleum product to Nigerians is chief among the constitutive factors. Another issue that is also on the burner that we should talk about tonight is also the inadequate refinery capacity that we have in Nigeria. So those are the issues that are have accumulated into the suffering that we now see in the corridors and the supply of shortage of petroleum products to Nigerians.
We were hitherto told it was fuel subsidy, but that has been removed now. So all these things you have listed, are these the mechanics that kept us revolving around this particular issue? What are these mechanics other than these things we've already listed, now that it is no longer fuel subsidy?
Well, special subsidy is one big topic that I've been going around. I have suggested on other platforms that the sudden, complete or absolute removal of this subsidy and that Nigerians enjoy is what I don't support. But a gradual or a facial removal would have helped. But that notwithstanding, there are also other issues that are that are working together in terms of supply and shortage of supply to marketers, and that is what is responsible for this current hardship that Nigerians are faced with. Of course, NNPC have come out to say and in their communique that the fuel is available for the marketers to come pick them up and supply them to Nigerians. There have been allegations that the local marketers have refused to sell this products to Nigerians, and in order for them to make more in terms of profits, in terms of and gains. They have intentionally ordered these products from Nigerians. But right now, marketers have come out to say that NNPC don't supply them also. So, we don't really know who to believe. But as analysts, we will look at all other surrounding factors and all other things that are relative or that are directly related to in general causes of fuel subsidy, especially that as we have it in Nigeria. So inadequate supply is the major issue today. But if you ask me, is fuel subsidy a major factor? Well, I wouldn't know how to directly state that fuel subsidy, the removal of fuel subsidy has affected supply of petroleum products. Of course, if anybody who is an expert will analyze this, they will tell you directly that the removal of subsidy is even supposed to allow people have more access to fuel. Having the monies to buy this fuel should be the problem, rather than not even having the fuel in supply. So this is not really a matter of subsidy. Subsidy has been removed. Pardon me. We have also had argument that government is indirectly paying for subsidy. Well, we cannot confirm that yet, but then we can tell you that inadequate supply is one issue. Then if we have all our refineries working together and there's adequate supply, we won't be having these shortages that we have, and these queues won't resurface, or it won't come back as we used to have it in the yesteryears.
Okay, let me go to you on the issue of the fact that NNPCL is said to be the sole importer of fuel in this country. Do you think that is a problem? That NNPC is the sole importer, is that a problem?
It is a problem, because when you have when you have a situation where one supply agent have the monopoly of the market, then it means that person have the power also to determine what happens to other value chains, that the supplier, the consumer, or every other thing that happens in that market. So I think the market is supposed to be open. We all operate a merely free economy in Nigeria. So importers that have the capacity to be able to import this fuel should have the capacity to be able to take in the fuel into Nigeria. Also, the price of fuel, pump price in the international community is another issue to look at to determine the price of fuel in Nigeria, because whatever the importers or NNPC in this instance imports into Nigeria is what they sell to Nigerians. But then if we have other people who are also playing active games or active roles in this area of importation, then the issue of pump price and the issue of supply in terms of petroleum won't be a big issue. So if you ask me, I will tell you that the monopoly that NNPC enjoy in the importation of fuel for domestic marketers is also a big problem, and that should be looked into. Refineries should come up. Marketers should be given opportunity to also have that right that NNPC have to also import fuel. This will reduce not only the supply of fuel for ordinary Nigerians, but will also in one way create a competitive open market alternative scope. People would have opportunity to be able to buy in a competitive pricing.
Thank you very much. We'll go to our last question now, which a school of thought says the right pricing mechanism has not been arrived at, and until the NNPC is honest enough to fix prices appropriately, this will continue. Appropriate pricing, do you agree?
I do not agree with a pricing technique. I think people should have alternative pricing techniques. You don't expect people who marketers who picked up fuel in Lagos to sell and bring it to Maiduguri or Jigawa State or far east in probably Abia State or Enugu State to sell at the same price as the people who pick and deliver in Lagos. So the pricing techniques will vary based on the landing cost. How much you pick from the refinery, the logistic pricing techniques also will be factored into how much price is fuel is sold by the independent local marketers. So you don't expect someone who pick and sell in Lagos to sell at the same thing at the same price range as someone who would pick and bring to Maiduguri or take to Nasarawa State or take to Akwa Ibom State to sell at that same price. So that universal pricing technique will not work. But other factors that include logistics, that includes the cost of insurance and other things will factor into the pricing.
I'd like to thank
and
you so
alternative
very much,
pricing techniques will
Mr.
not be, or will inform how much
public policy expert and public affairs analyst. We thank you so very much for joining us on this issue of fuel queues around Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, says the current petrol scarcity in Abuja and several other states in Nigeria may take another 10 days before being resolved. The National Deputy President of the association, Zarma Mustafa, who disclosed this to Trust TV, also spoke on other issues around the scarcity and how it would be resolved. Newell Sampson tells us more.
The National Deputy President of IPMAN, Zarma Mustafa, highlighted the reasons for the occurring of fuel subsidy.
As at now, the supplier has dropped in the source depot. For the first 3 weeks, the supply has been dwindling down and down and down. And the price at which we are supposed to buy at the private depot owners too. NNPC has not increased anything, not a single kobo. But our major source of getting the products are the private depot owners. And we don't get the product at the approved rate. We buy product as high as 680 naira to 700 naira at the private depots.
He spoke on the contents of the meeting they had with NNPCL and how long the scarcity is expected to last.
We had a meeting with the MD of NNPC Retail last week and discussed about issues of supply and distribution, of which he has assured us they are working tirelessly to make sure that that shortfall in supply is being breached. And he has also told us all the shortfall was brought about by some logistics issues they got along the source of procuring the product and the rest.
Around the Abuja metropolis, there are long queues and a few filling stations still selling the product. Some motorists told Trust TV how the scarcity is affecting them.
This is where we face now. We don't even know the time where we go finish, but it affects me in the sense that because I'm a private, this is my car. So we have to queue for a long hour before we can get fuel. And if you even some people increase even the price more than because we get different price from different filling stations. Some people are selling 700, 690, 680. As the case may be.
It really affect my job because I'm a commercial driver. If I come out, if I didn't buy now, I won't be able to work tomorrow morning. And if I work till evening, I have to cut the work and come and join the queue. So the whole money that I'm getting, because if I charge the way I'm supposed to charge, I won't get enough because people are feeling it. The heat is everywhere. So the little I'm getting, I have to still come and submit to the filling station.
Fuel scarcity disrupts daily life for Nigerians as citizens often spend long hours waiting in queues at stations. It also leads to frustration and public unrest in the extreme. Newell Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from issues of fuel scarcity now to security, bandits have shot dead a driver simply identified as Elad Jobe and stole 1 million naira cash while abducting 2 others along the Abuja-Kaduna highway. A resident of Jere, Yahuza Al-Hassan, who confirmed the incident on Monday, said it happened around 9:33 p.m. at Dogon Fili, few kilometers away from Jere town. He said the deceased was returning from a neighboring village market where he conveyed bags of pepper alongside the owner to sell. He added that the bandits suddenly emerged from the bush and opened fire on the car, killing the driver instantly. Al-Hassan, who also identified one of the victims as Shuaibu, a farmer, was whisked away with 1 other person after bandits took away 1 million naira cash from him. A spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, DSP Mansour Hassan, is yet to comment on the incident. Suspected herdsmen on Sunday evening reportedly attacked Nimbo community in Uzuowani, local government area of Enugu State, killing at least 5 persons and wounding several others. According to reports, the suspected herders attacked mourners at Gwijuro Nimbo community, causing people to scamper for safety. Although the police are yet to issue any statement on the incident, villagers identified 5 bodies as victims of the tragedy. Nimbo in Uzuowani local government area came into the limelight in 2016 for similar incidents when suspected herders attacked the community, killing scores and sacking the entire village. The multinational joint task force progresses with Operation Lake Sanity 2. Boko Haram hideouts in the Lake Chad region, spanning Cameroon and Nigeria, are seeing an increase in surrenders. Recently, 6 additional terrorists have surrendered, laying down their arms. On the 17th of April 2024, a 19-year-old Boko Haram terrorist named Alhaji Ali surrendered to troops of 403 Amphibious Brigade Baga of Sector 3 in Mongono, Nigeria. Initial investigations reveal a 3-year affiliation with Boko Haram's Obuduma faction. A statement by Chief Military Public Information Officer Lieutenant Colonel Abubakar Abdullahi said Ali hails from Nasaram on Lake Chad Island and residing at Duguri, highlighted the growing discontentment within the group. The statement further revealed that on the 25th of April 2024, 2 more terrorists, Haudu Sadiq and Kaja Usman, turned themselves in at Blangwa, Cameroon, to troops of Sector 1 in the Darak area of southern Lake Chad. The MNJTF calls upon other Boko Haram terrorists hiding in the Lake Chad Islands and adjoining communities to cease hostilities and embrace peace. A Kano High Court sitting at Audubaku has fixed May 16, 2024 to rule on means of service in the case of alleged corruption involving the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, and 7 others. The court, presided over by Justice Usman Malam Naaba, reserved the date after a heated argument between the parties involved. Ganduje, his wife, son, and 6 others were billed to be arraigned on an 8-count charge bordering on bribery, diversion, and misappropriation of funds, among others. Aside from Ganduje and family members, other parties in the suit are Jibrila Mohammed, Lamash Properties Limited, Safari Textiles Limited, and Lesage General Enterprises. Kano State Government, in the criminal suit filed against the respondent, said it has assembled 15 witnesses to testify against them. At the resumed hearing on Monday, the prosecution counsel, Adeola Adedikpe, said a criminal charge can be effected by substituted means. However, in his submission, counsel to the 6th respondent, Nuraini Jimo, objected that attempt by the prosecution to serve the defendant through substituted means cannot hold water, as such should be discountenanced. In his Crown counter reaction, the prosecution counsel said the argument of the defense counsel is premature and preemptive.
The court invited the counsel to address it on whether the court can issue an order for substituted service in criminal trials. And both counsel addressed the court, one is supporting while the other is not supporting.
We realized as 6 defendants that the application served on us was not as directed by the court. What was served on us as 6 defendants was a motion or notice for substitute service. So now the argument was taken in court today as to the propriety or otherwise of service of a charge on defendant by substitute means.
The Lagos High Court, sitting in Ikeja, has deferred till the end of trial its ruling on the application filed by the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, challenging the jurisdiction of the court to try him on the charges brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Through his lawyer, Olalekan Ojo, SAN, Emefiele submitted that he cannot be tried in the High Court of any state in Nigeria for alleged acts of abuse of his office, as this raises issues of constitutionality and legality. The former CBN governor also noted that counts 1 to 4 of the 26 counts charge filed by the EFCC against him are unconstitutional as they are not contained in any law in Nigeria. His counsel asked the court to make an order striking out counts 1 to 4 of the charge on the grounds that the EFCC, through its counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo, SAN, however, countered these arguments. Citing decided cases of the Supreme Court, he asked the trial judge, Justice Rahman Oshodi, not to defer or prevent the trial of the case on the basis of objections challenging the particulars of the counts of the information. The governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has approved a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira for civil servants in the state. The governor revealed this while commissioning the new labor house in Edo State on Monday. According to him, the new wage comes into effect on May the 1st, 2024. This is as the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, battles the federal government over increasing the minimum wage to match increasing national inflation and skyrocketing food inflation. The inflation rate for March 2024 hit about 33% from about 31% in February. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, while food inflation also rose to almost 32% in March from 30% in February, the NLC and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, had demanded 615,000 naira as a new minimum wage for workers in the country. The labor union's agreement was after President Bola Tinubu, through Vice President Kashim Shettima, on January the 30th, set up a 37-member panel at the council chamber of the State House in Abuja. Mixed reactions have trailed the proposed new palliatives distribution template approved by President Bola Tinubu, routing 20% of food interventions through religious and traditional institutions. The reactions came amidst rising poverty and the high cost of living that Nigerians are facing across the country. Trust TV's Adamu Imam now reports.
The Sangaya and the missionary schools are to be specially targeted for such interventions under traditional institutions, as many believe it may ensure transparent and equitable distribution. 20% of the funds released for the school feeding program will also be channeled through the Office of the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning to religious bodies as planned. Religious bodies Wunti Al Khair Foundation says using those institutions mentioned will no doubt be more effective.
Have accidents, we have casualties. No, we follow them house by house for distribution, and that has been effective over the years. We have not reported any problem. So if any religious organization or religious body is having something like this, a system, it can be effective, but only when they have such systems.
On the contrary, Pastor Luka Madaki is doubtful that the initiative will be different, say it may maybe go back to business as usual. Nigeria has what it takes for all citizens to enjoy life, but some have hijacked our commonwealth. Now only a few are enjoying. Now that the government say they want to use traditional and religious institutions to reach the target beneficiaries, we hope it works. We witnessed something similar to that in the month of Ramadan, where government tried to use a similar route to help the needy to cushion the impact of high cost of living, but it didn't work. Meanwhile, some residents say traditional institutions will further worsen the situation. My opinion is that federal government should use religious leaders because we are benefiting from their religious preaching. They guide us to follow the right path. But for the traditional institution, the leaders are tilted towards politicians, so I am not in support of using them. For instance, you hardly see them talking on behalf of the masses when it comes to the issue of insecurity.
If they say now we don't want politicians, all these politicians, they are the one who call the religion leaders under them. So here is, if this program, the president wanted to give our religious leaders, try to fear Allah on this issue.
They, however, maintain that the only way to address the issue of food palliatives distribution in Nigeria from the government is by using external supervision to enable reach the target people. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Relief for Katsina residents as state government begins construction of drainages. More news after the break. Do stay. Thank you for rejoining us. This is News Hour on Trust TV. Another look at our top stories. Nigerians lament fuel scarcity, transport fares hike amid economic hardship. And bandits kill driver Abduct 2 on Abuja-Kaduna highway. Moving on, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has assured that any customer not currently enjoying 20 hours of electricity would not pay the new tariff. The minister stated this on Monday while appearing before the Senate Committee on Power for a one-day investigative hearing on the need to halt the proposed increase in electricity tariff by 11 successor electricity distribution companies amid the biting economic situation in Nigeria. Here's that report.
According to him, the government had introduced a new policy to save the drowning sector, assuring Nigerians that the pains were temporary. The minister also stated that the federal government would pay the sum of 2.9 trillion naira to subsidize electricity this year if the tariff was not reviewed.
We should find a way around this. There must be a way subsidy must be reduced. And we said, okay, we cannot attack the industry 100% because each category of customers have some limited level of electricity supply. And we said, if at all we're going to revise the tariff upward, let it not be 100% because it was going to add to the hardship and surface of Nigeria.
During the session, chairman of the committee, Naya Baribe, and other committee members raised the question of how customers were migrated from the previous customer classes of residential, commercial, and demand to different bands. They also requested to know if the band classification was under the provisions of the law.
To investigate the role of the Ministry of Power, NEC, and the company known as Ziglax on their failed agreement to provide meters and ensure that Nigerians are not shortchanged.
It's quite evident that enough consultation has not been done before this tariff increase. And it is, to say the least, the increase is outrageous, it's unaffordable, and unrealistic. It is only the discourse that are supporting this increase, simply because it's going to favor them.
I would like to know how much the discos have invested in the discos since they were acquired, because there's been talk of asset stripping, so it would depend on how much the discos have they been at just the point the way they were when they were acquired. Was an investment made, minimal, a lot?
The development comes on the heels of the recent increase in electricity tariffs for consumers in the Band A category by NERC.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has announced the deregulation of meter prices under the Meter Assets Provider MAP scheme, empowering discos and meter manufacturers to determine the price of electricity meters across the country. In an order signed by NERC's chairman and Commissioner for Legal Licensing and Compliance, Sanusi Garba and Dafe Akpeneye, respectively, on Monday, the Commission stated that effective May 1, 2024, electricity consumers will purchase meters through competitive bidding. The order also urged all discos to provide a publicly accessible online portal on their website where prospective maps can view the disco's technical specifications and commercial terms for participation as a map within its network area. The order directed all discos to conduct a thorough test and confirmation of specifications for new meters proposed by a prospective map and concluded no later than 20 working days from the date the proposed map fulfills all the requirements specified on the online portal to participate within its network area. The lifting of the restriction on permitting to operate in all discos is subject to the mandatory requirement for maps to comply with the associated disco-specific requirements and specifications. And now to health matters. Health experts have again reiterated the need to address chronic kidney disease through early detection, intervention, and preventive measures as it has become more prevalent among young people. The call came on the heels of the introduction of 60 dialysis machines at a private medical center in the nation's capital, Abuja. The machines, experts say, will help increase the number of available machines and reduce downtime and machine breakdown recorded at public hospitals for patients seeking renal disease management through dialysis and kidney transplant procedures. Aisha Salihu now reports.
End-stage renal disease, although a global disease, is however more burdensome in low and middle-income countries. According to data, it accounts for 8% of all medical admissions and 42% of renal admissions in Nigeria. Experts in the sector attribute the leading causes of kidney disease to high blood pressure, diabetes, obstructive uropathy, HIV, and kidney inflammation from a variety of infections. ESRD may be irreversible, but experts admit with early detection and routine medical checks, it can be managed.
And there are some things that are peculiar about kidney disease in Nigeria. One, it affects the younger people who are in their economically productive age group, between the age of 30 and 50. Unlike in the developed countries where it is a disease of the elderly. Currently, dialysis one session costs between 50,000 and 70,000, depending on where you are doing it. How many of us can afford that? And you need to do it 3 times a week. Kidney transplantation costs between 18 million and 23 million.
Part of what I've started to do myself is to sponsor a motion that all FMCs in Nigeria must be of high standard. We should be able to have a semblance of facilities that we have in India or in UK or elsewhere. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
The government has looked into this situation and it has noticed that there is a heightened rise of number of kidney diseases all around the country. So processes are on the way. There are discussions as to how to leverage against what is actually existing now and then how to improve on what's available to improve on the access of care.
While patients decried the cost of managing the disease, experts are advocating partnerships with all health institutions to clamp down on the disease burden.
You see how the way they subsidize HIV drugs and all, yes, I think they should do the same thing too for both dialysis patients and people that have done transplants, because if you do your transplant, the drugs are really expensive and sometimes you save up money, 23 million naira to do your transplants. At the end, you still live on drugs till you die, and the drugs are not cheap.
What government can do is to shore up and support dialysis patients and say, okay, look, for each dialysis, rather than pay 50,000 naira, you pay 30,000 or 20,000 naira. That is the only way to help in the interim. Ultimately, we produce our own consumables, we do our own surgeries, hopefully produce even our own dialysis machines, and then we're free and go.
With the growing trend of kidney disease severity moving to 8th position in 2019, ahead of malaria and HIV, with projections that by the year 2040, it will become the leading cause of death all over the world. Stakeholders say more needs to be done to arrest it. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still staying with health, the Yobe state government says 85 persons have died from cerebrospinal meningitis in the state, while 2,510 have recovered from the disease between January 2023 and April 2024. The Commissioner for Health in the state, Lawan Ghana, while addressing journalists in Damaturu, also refuted the purported social media report on the alleged deaths of 200 persons in Potiskum and Mangere local government areas of the state. He explained that a thorough investigation was carried out with epidemiologists on the state primary healthcare centers to authenticate the purported report, noting that it was found to be false. Lawan, who admitted that the hot weather is contributing to outbreaks of diseases, asked the public to ensure they sleep in ventilated areas as well as report any suspicious symptoms to health facilities on time. Residents of Katsina State are heaving a sigh of relief following the construction of drainages that will help address the perennial flooding in the state. In the past few years, flood disasters have claimed lives and property annually as heavy rains wreak havoc across the state. But the narrative is about to change for good with the construction of the drainages, as Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi reports from Katsina. Here's the report.
Residents who are hopeful that these projects will be completed before the 2024 rainy season set in said they can now sleep with their two eyes closed, bearing in mind how devastated floods have been in the state over the years. The flooding often comes with loss of lives and property in the Katsina city, resulting in displacement of many residents, especially those living along the high-risk communities of Kofar Marusa, Kofar Duribi, Kofar Sauri, Koramar Nelli, and Katsira. This project has rekindled hope in the minds of not only people around the high-risk areas, but residents of the ancient city as a whole, assuring government that the work will be fully protected against vandals. We thank this administration for this project, and I believe this is the first time I have seen a project that touches on the lives of Katsina residents directly. Many people lost their children, animals, and other valuables during flood disasters, which occurs almost every year. This gigantic project, when completed, people living around the streams will have peace of mind. Flooding, which often becomes a yearly occurrence, will be history. I must appreciate the Environment Ministry and Governor Diko Umaru Rada for executing the project. Katsina State Government, through the Commissioner of Environment, Musa Adamu Funtua, assured that the project, according to contractual agreement, is expected to be completed in the next couple of weeks. The Commissioner of Environment also said the flood control project was jointly funded by Katsina State Government, assuring that the water from the city will be harvested for irrigation, fish farming, and other purposes near Shinkafi village, a suburb of Katsina metropolis.
So as far as I'm concerned, this kind of a life project for the entire people. Let me tell you, the lifespan of the project is going to spend 45 years. The quality of the project. How many times tell you? How many of all of us are about 50? so somehow we are 55, 53. So look at this. At the same time, I'm really happy today. Even I go around in collaboration with the Commissioner of Land and Survey. I see how the layman happy about the project. So being a privilege given to me as a supervising officer, I feel that to be in something good is good in life.
This initiative, when fully completed and implemented, will not only control the annual flooding devastating Katsina residents, but also provides job opportunities and food security for the state. Public commentators are asking the government to plant economic trees near the major drainages to control erosion, which will also beautify the affected areas. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. It's time now to join Yusuf Akogu for the business news.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. In spite of numerous challenges confronted by manufacturers in Nigeria, the manufacturing sector borrowing from the nation's banking sector rose by 2.17 trillion naira to 7.73 trillion naira from 5.57 trillion naira in 2022. The figure represents an increase of 38.8%. Data obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows the manufacturing sector was the second highest recipient of bank loans in 2023, trailing only behind the oil and gas sector. Analysis of the data revealed that credit extended by banks to the manufacturing sector represented 70.36% of the total banking sector credit. Clean energy jobs rose to 35 million in the fossil fuel sector, representing a growth of 4.7 million from last year. According to the 2023 World Energy Employment Report, while fossil fuel employment has lagged, the remaining 1.3 million jobs are below their pre-pandemic levels of 32 million, with the new jobs in construction and manufacturing accounting for over half of all energy employment. The report revealed that with a growing trend toward project-based approaches in many industries, a rising demand for skilled project managers was expected to increase significantly over the next decade. According to the Managing Director of Sub-Saharan African PMI, George Asamani, as more countries and corporations in the region commit to lowering emissions, the transition to clean energy is poised to boost employment opportunities significantly. A pension administrator, Sani Mustafa, has allayed fears of pensioners over a report that foreign pension fund managers are moving funds out of Nigeria. According to him, Nigerian Pension Administration is completely handled and managed by local fund managers. Mustafa also said that pension funds constitute large chunk of investment on the Nigerian Exchange Limited (NGS).
All pension fund administrators are Nigerian companies. But as I said, some of the multinational companies in Nigeria, they are running a closed pension fund administrators. And from the onset, they have offshore investments. So with the coming of National Pension Commission oversight pension, they didn't tell them to bring this money back. So it continues. But the National Pension Commission knows about it and regulates it. Pension funds are a big, or if not the biggest player in the capital market. And that is how it should be, because the benefits goes right back to our retirees. They invest in companies. When these companies take the money, they expand their operations and they employ more people and pay more pension. It's a win-win situation.
Equities market opened the week in red as blue chip stocks record sell-offs in late trade. Let's see how it went down today. Some of the equities that dragged down the market. Leading that table is Dangote Sugar that lost 10%, a huge number there. To close at 43 naira and 20 kobo per share. NSL Tech down 10% as well. To close at 54 kobo per share. Of course, CAP PLC also down 9.88% to close at 26 naira per share at the close of business today. Of course, this has dragged down the market downward by 0.19%. Volume of trade 277.241 million shares, value at 5.082 million naira in a deal of 8,714 lead exchange hands among investors on this first trading day of the week. Indeed, looking at in the top trading equities, UBA is leading that table, 33.746 million shares, TPLC 25.494 million shares, of course Transcorp Nigerian PLC 19.346 million shares is traded. Of course, some equities they record gains at the close of business. Today, leading that table is Sterling Bank Nigerian PLC up 9.95% to close at 4 naira and 20 kobo per share. First Bank of Nigeria holding also up there 9.58%, 22 naira and 30 kobo a share price. And then, of course, Honey Flow up there 9.40% to close at 3 naira and 49 kobo per share. That's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Monday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market for today. Now to the FX market. Naira depreciates further against the US dollar as demand for greenbacks increases. Take a look at today's market data. Oil prices dip on Monday as Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks in Cairo tempered fears of a wider Middle East conflict, while US inflation data dimmed the prospect of interest rate cuts soon. At the London market, European Brent sells for $88 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, dealers offered $88 per barrel. That's business. I am Yusuf Akogu.
Thank you, Yusuf, for bringing us up to date. Away from Nigeria, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron on Monday said Hamas has been offered a 40-day ceasefire and the release of potentially thousands of Palestinian prisoners in return for freeing Israeli hostages. Cameron told a World Economic Forum meeting in Riyadh that he hopes Hamas takes the deal, adding that the proposal will lead to a stop in the fighting. A Hamas delegation is due in Egypt on Monday, where it is expected to respond to the latest proposal for a truce in Gaza and a release of hostages after almost 7 months of war. Egypt, Qatar, and the United States have been trying to mediate an agreement between Israel and Hamas for months, but a flurry of diplomacy in recent days appeared to suggest a new push towards halting hostilities. And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV tonight. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentaries. On behalf of our entire team who have been working behind the scene, I remain yours sincerely, Eugenia Abu. Good night.